Warren. Marcus Hines. Todd Richard. Bernie Willie. Bill Matthews. Jimmy Davis. Dave Manella. Kirk Drum. Ron Randolph. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. On the announcement, phones and pagers, please put them on silent, which I'm going to do right now since I haven't done it. We don't want to be interrupted with cell phones going off or pagers going off. If you disagree with any decision that this commission makes, you have the right to appeal the decision to the council. The appeal cards are over on the railing here to my right. And speaker cards, please complete a speaker card if you plan to speak on any item. And again, the speaker cards are over to my right. Each side will have 10 minutes to initially speak and then a 5-minute rebuttal. If your case is heard and a lot of you want to discuss the case, please exit the building. Don't go out in the lobby. I realize it's cold, but the noise comes back into the chambers here. Mr. Randolph, will you do the invocation? Please rise.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you to say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. Thank you for getting us through this day. We thank you for the opportunity to work and be present with this commission. Let us make decisions, Lord, accordingly and in the best interest of the citizens that we serve and the council that we represent. And all these blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name, with thanksgiving and forgiveness. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Davis, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in your packet, you had the minutes from the December 3rd meeting. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review them. Are there any corrections? I'll accept a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Willie to approve, second by Mr. Richard. Please vote. We got a problem? Okay, there we go. Motion carries. Thank you. Staff, we have any cases to be postponed?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a request on number 1 on the agenda, ZC 13-11079.
Okay, any other ones?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone CC 13-11079 one more time only.
Yeah, that's that's we can do.
We have somebody in the audience that would like to speak, and I think we ought to waive the rules, and
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I'm not going to accept your motion to postpone right now, and
Okay.
let
That'd be fine.
yes, ma'am. Please come forward to the mic and state your name and address. You need to have a speaker card filled out. You do? Okay.
Wendy Rachel, 200 Williamsburg, Mandeville, Louisiana. I live in Heritage Heights, and this is the 3rd time that this is being postponed. I don't know what the issue is now. It's always a different reason. And seeing, we have to come out every time that this is, we want to say something to it. I think postponing it again would be a hardship on all of the residents of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthews.
Still make my same motion.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone until the February meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote.
What's the reason for postponement?
They haven't given a reason. They just asked to postpone, and we generally have accepted that up to a point. And this is the point.
Okay, this is to be postponed to the February meeting, and there will be no more postponing. It'll be heard at the February meeting for sure.
One way or another.
Okay, all right. Does that satisfy you, Mr. Willie?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please vote. Motion carries to postpone till the February meeting, and it will be heard at the February meeting, one way or the other. We're not going to accept any more postponement from the petitioner.
I think we at least need a reason.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, zoning case 14-01-001, existing zoning is A1, suburban district, proposed zoning is A2, suburban district. It's 2.115 acres. Petitioner is, Parish, comes to us from Parish Council motion of 10-3-13, located at, parcel located on the west side of Louisiana 1083, north of E.J. Oldman Road, Ward 5, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. However, staff sees no compelling reason to increase the density in the area, considering that the abutting parcels to the north, south, and west sides are zone A1, and staff would like to recommend denial.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here in the audience to speak on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I spoke to the councilman and he informed me that the owner of the property would not be able to attend the meeting this evening.
Well, this is one that we've asked, when they come to us by Parish Council, we ask for somebody, to be here to answer any questions. I would suggest that we postpone this to the February meeting.
Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
This is an A1, and it wants to go to an A2. And I believe, can we look at making, like we were talking about, the frontage, maybe remain A1 and not do all of it, the A2? Because it's got A2 around it, some of it.
If this is the wish of the commission, you can make a motion.
I don't, Martha, I think if we had the petitioner here, then we could, maybe have a discussion on that, but since no one's here, I'm not sure it would be appropriate that we take, that action.
What-
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
Okay, I spoke to the parish councilman about it. He called me about it, and the lady has cancer. She is not able to be here. She won't be here the next meeting either, okay?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be
daughter-
her, but somebody, to represent her and her family, or an attorney.
Okay. But at any rate, she is very ill, and the reason they wanted to do this is to move a mobile home onto this extra, second acre of property, so that this lady can take care of her mother. That's the reason for doing it. Now, across the road, I know this is abuts by A1 on that side of the road, but all of the property across the road from it is all A2 already, so.
Pull your mic.
I'm gonna make a motion that it be changed from A1 to A2.
Okay, pull your mic down. So,
I'm sorry.
okay. All right, so, Mark, you have a motion to, change it from A1 to A2.
Yes.
And I'll second it.
We have a second by Ms. Casabon. Any further discussion? Mr. Matthews?
Well, I'm concerned that we're gonna now wind up with more property on this side of the road, all trying to go to A2 or something even higher. This property is only two acres. It doesn't even really meet anything in A1 or A1A. It already has a dwelling on 2 acres. It can, one dwelling can stay there, it'll be non-conforming, but it just, we keep encroaching on A2 and all of these other with denser and denser zoning, and I think that's really not what we want to do. And the staff believes it's not proper, and I agree with the staff on this.
Mr. Davis?
It's also very
I agree
rule
that,
varying.
I actually think the A2 zoning would be okay. The only situation I think that we really should postpone this is that if you look at the property with the manufactured home all the way in the back where the lady currently lives, if you look at the property lines, the entrance comes off of Highway 1083, and I think I would like to have the young lady or daughter, whoever, to realize that she'll have to have access on that same road, because we don't want to have another road being built off of 1083 to that separate property. Because that's in a bend in that road, And so that's the only reason why I would prefer this thing to be postponed, to talk to the actual daughter of the person who's trying to get this done. But that's my opinion.
Okay, Mr. Willie.
Another question too. Like I say, I don't mind the A2 zoning, but since they're gonna be putting a mobile home, should they be requesting a mobile home overlay? Is already have one over the A1? Should there be a request, since they're changing the zoning, Helen, to ask for a mobile home overlay as well?
If I'm not mistaken, there's already a mobile home overlay, but let me pull it up on the map just to be.
Because they
Mr.
don't say
Chairman, we can
A1 with
also stipulate in the motion, if you would like, that they will be only the one road going into it. Okay,
Well, to
You
do that
cannot
without
put
these
any
people here,
conditions on that.
you know, I think we're presuming a lot.
I know.
Have somebody here to agree to that.
Yeah.
That may be a real stickler for them, and they have a reason not to. I mean, if we're gonna change the zoning, I certainly think all we can do is do exactly what they ask and nothing more, and we have some questions about that.
If they don't like what we're doing, then they can appeal to the councilman, which is aware of the project,
But is that, I wanted to ask Jimmy, is that the line you're talking about where it's divided into the C2, the 1 acre? And they have that strip there, is that where you're talking about the road? Like right here?
That's where the road is to the back of it.
Right,
No,
so
it
it's,
is.
it
I
was still part of the main property. Right.
Just so the young lady
So
knows
it's still
that she
down
has
on
to
their
share
property line, they own all of this anyway, and so they would be using this, so that would be the only, right, and so she would be coming off the driveway there. I don't think that would be a problem. That's been moved. There really wouldn't be, in this particular area, an objection to it.
Is there a mobile home overlay?
Yes, there is, yes.
And it's very rural.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the A2, and in the motion, Mark, you want to have that the road will only be, what, a single road to the back parcel?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman,
We can't rezone on condition.
Pardon me?
We can't rezone.
No, that's right. We can't do that. We can't do that.
They would have to follow the plat
Right.
that they're given.
Right.
So that would have to
You're right.
come off of, the way it's drawn looks appropriate because the driveway would, to get to the back, obviously would use the same highway road, 1083, and then their driveway would be on that parcel C2.
Yep, but they'd be putting a second driveway on the second piece of property, and that was what Jimmy's concern was,
Is the
having
safety
two
of the issue.
two driveways.
They're so close.
They have to have access. I'm not as concerned about that as much as, I would not want another driveway off of 1085.
That's
So
exactly
I
what he's
think-
saying.
Yeah.
Right, so that is where they would have to put it, is, looks like with the way it's drawn. That's why they left that parcel.
Well, in addition, in order to put another driveway in, a driveway cut would have to have permission from DOTD.
That's right.
And
That's
we
correct.
would stop that anyway.
Right.
Because they have that acreage on the front of a state
Okay.
highway.
All right, Mark, you have any other comment?
Call for question.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries, 8 yeas, 2 nays. Thank you. Zoning case 14-01-002, existing zoning is A1 suburban district, proposed zoning is A2 suburban district, it's 5 acres. This comes to us again by Parish Council motion of 10-313, parcel located on the south side of Press Sharp Road across from Joseph Revere Road, Ward 2, District 6. Staff?
The comments are the same as on the previous case. The 2025 plan calls for residential and agricultural uses. Staff does not see any compelling use or reason to increase the density and recommends denial.
Thank you. Is anyone here in the audience to speak on this? Mr. Davis?
I believe that the staff recommendation is accurate. I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Lauren. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Point of clarification. The motion is to deny.
Yes, sir.
An affirmative vote is a vote to deny, not a negative. an
Right.
affirmative.
That's correct. Thank you. Motion carries 9 yeas, 1 nay. So the motion was to deny, so the case goes forward with the denial from the commission. All right, page 2. Item 4, zoning case 14-01-003. Existing zoning is A3. Proposed zoning is A3 Suburban District and a manufactured housing overlay. It's 1.41 acres. The petitioner's Francis Faishon. The owner's Francis Faishon. Parcel located on the north side of Jackson Avenue, east of 24th Street, being lots 1 through 7, Square 179, Town of Lacombe, Ward 7, District 7. Staff?
Staff does not have any objections to the request and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak on this? Okay. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I live out in this area in Lacombe, and I drove out there and looked at the property and such like that, and I think it's appropriate. I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Davis to approve, seconded by Mr. Matthews. Any further discussion? Please vote. Bill, you vote. Motion carries. Item 5, zoning case 14-01-004. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban and a manufactured housing overlay. It's 1 acre. The petitioner is Bobby J. Colgan. The owner is Bobby J. Colgan. Parcel located at the end of Gum Creek Street, north of Rhonda Road, being 37452 Gum Creek Road, Pearl River, Ward 8, District 11. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan recommends residential development, including manufactured homes. There are numerous manufactured homes in the vicinity. Staff does not object to the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Yes, sir. Come forward. State your name.
My name's Damon Crow.
Damon what?
Crow, C-R-O-W-E,
Okay.
37441 Gum Creek Road. My family's a resident of that street, as well as there's several families, if they'll raise their hands, that represent that street as residents. We definitely oppose the building of this trailer park or the installation of this trailer park. Number one, when we purchased this land as residents, we were told it was 1 acre plots to be 1 resident per acre. Number two, Gum Creek Road is a very narrow street. You can barely pass 2 vehicles on that street. It's a dead-end street. Everyone that lives on that street bought the property with the understanding that the road was narrow and that it would be 1 resident per property. Number three, we built homes, and with the building or the installation of a trailer park, we bring down the value of our homes. We would
Let
never.
me stop you right there just a moment. This is a 1 acre site.
Yes, sir.
And they're asking for a mobile home overlay, which is still just gonna be 1 home.
No, sir. There's already 1 there, and they want to add 2 more. No. One more.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just as a point of clarification, according to the application form here, the petitioner or the owner is requesting a 960 square foot mobile home. I am assuming that it may be for a guest house under 1,000 square feet, but there's already a mobile home on the property at this time.
Okay.
It's a rental mobile home on the
Okay,
property.
wait a minute. go ahead, you've got the floor now. We've got that straight. It's not considered a mobile home park
Okay,
with the 2 mobile homes. That's what I wanted to get straight.
okay. But it is a rental, and my understanding, this is going to be a rental?
I don't know that either one's a rental. Helen?
A guest
I'm
house.
sorry, excuse
Wait a
me.
minute. Wait a
Mr.
minute.
Chairman, is the petitioner here? We need to hear from the petitioner first, I think, and then the opposition. We didn't realize
Normally
that
we
you were
do, and-
opposition. We thought you were,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay. And find out what they want first, and then we'll hear the opposition.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
My name is Bobby Colgan.
Okay?
I live in Pearl River on Dummy Line Road. This is a piece of property that I own. I do have a rental property, trailer on it. It's on the far left-hand side. I'm trying to get my daughter-in-law's father from Macomb, Mississippi, his trailer over here so we can take care of him. He's been ill, and she can't take care of him, when he lives so far away. And this is not going to be a rental property. This is for her dad to live in so we can take care of him, and he won't be over there by himself.
Okay. So you own the mobile home. He owns the mobile home that
He
will
owns
be
the mobile
moved.
home. Yes,
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to move it from Macomb?
yes.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And that was the only reason, because I wouldn't have put anything on there. But he does need someone to take care of him. She would live right around the corner from him. The lady who lives in my mobile home would also be watching out for him, because he's done fallen twice, and he's so far away that we couldn't get there if something happened to him. So
Okay.
that's the only reason I even approached the idea of bringing him over here and putting him on the property.
Okay.
Now, you don't live in that trailer?
No, ma'am.
And you rent that trailer?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is rental property, and you're wanting to put another one on there?
Yeah, well, that trailer's been there like for years and years.
I know, but
But-
it's still
Yeah.
like rental. It's, I don't know. I look at it.
No, I
Go ahead.
I live on Dummy Line.
It's,
They should be.
Mr. Hines?
Is there a mobile home overlay on it right now?
Yes, sir, there is a mobile
There is?
home on it.
Okay.
So
it's
I
a
have
mobile home, but
question.
not an overlay.
Yeah, I think a 16 by 60. I thought it was a 14 by 60, but the title says 16 by 60.
Yeah. What we're talking about is the mobile home overlay is part of the ordinance that allows you to have trailers there.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we're talking about, the overlay.
Okay.
And we know that there's a trailer there, but that particular land is not zoned for the overlay, is what we're saying.
Okay.
They-
All right. Let me go back to the gentleman, Mr. Crow, that was up there, and let's hear
Hear
from his
the rest of
side.
his
Can I ask
opposition
Helen a
to it.
question?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Helen, because it's A2, the only reason it can be allowed in A2 is because it's less than 1,000 square feet?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Mr. Crow, will you come forward and understand what we normally do is that the person that is applied for the zoning change, we usually hear from them first and then
Right.
any opposition.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. But we still oppose for the same reasons, because there again, we were told, one dwelling per acre. We don't know what would happen after this person, whatever happens there to the mobile home. There's too many questions. I think everybody, on our streets in agreement that it should be as it was told to us by the parish, that, one dwelling per acre. And that's where that's what we bought the property for, with that understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And number two, no, one more thing, if I could. I don't know if I mentioned safety, but I did mention the narrow road. And it's definitely a problem for paramedics, fire department, or whoever get down that street, because it's a dead-end street. And we've had a couple incidences where emergencies did take place, and it was a serious problem. But I do want to bring that to your attention also.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Crow.
I don't know if you...
Anyone else wish to speak? Ms. Cogan, do you have any rebuttal?
No, only that
I need you back up so that you get it on recording, please.
he was talking about the narrow road, but the road's been that way for years, and they've brought mobile homes into it and out of it, and I've never heard of any problems myself about getting in and out of the road.
Okay. All right, there was a gentleman raised your hand, you wanted part of the rebuttal?
Well, we didn't know, no, it was actually a question.
Well, you need to come up to the microphone. State your name, please.
And I'll fill out a card. Brian Phillips, I live at 37443 Gum Creek Road. Some of the questions and concerns that we also have is, are they going to be required with this second mobile home, if y'all approve this on a 1 acre with 2 mobile homes, what's the septic system going to be? Is there required to put another well in, or are they required to put another septic system in? This is questions that we're concerned about because, you know, we're all under, right now, the home they have drains into the ditch. A lot of the other houses that we've just built were required to put sprinkler systems in. So, you know, what's the standard, what's not the standard? That's some of our concerns also. You know, y'all are just finding out that there's a rental mobile home on the property already. That's why when I read it, I didn't presume it was approved for a mobile home, but now y'all are aware that there is a rental mobile home on it, and now a second one's gonna be going on there if y'all approve that. As y'all's first topic that y'all covered, 2 dwellings on 1 piece of property smaller than an acre. It is a concern, and I hope y'all are all aware that everybody on the street is here today to oppose this matter, because we do. We have a lot of kids on the street. The kids are always playing. We're worried about, you know, putting more homes on this small street. I appreciate y'all's time and y'all consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please fill out a card. All right. Any further, anyone else in the audience wish to speak? I'm going to close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Yeah, from a pure zoning point of this, if the original home out there was a stick-built home on an A2 property, then according to the code, the person could build an additional stick-built home under 1,000 square foot. That's a fact. So really, the only thing is the mobile home overlay is what we're really looking at. There are some manufactured homes overlay. There are some MHOs already out there. So I generally don't have a problem with approving this. I mean, this is the way the code is written, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, Mr. Matthews.
I think Martha was.
Okay, Martha.
I have a totally different outlook with this situation. If you lived in that trailer and this was your home, it would be like you're offering your home to help someone else, and I would really understand that. But with this being a rental property where you don't live in that trailer and offering to, you know, put somebody else by you to help you, I just have a totally different outlook of this. I am concerned that in the event that the person passes on, you've got 2 trailers on there that would become rentals. And we can't put stipulations on, you know, you'd have to move it and all this. It just never happens that you get the 2 off. So I do have a problem with the 1 acre and the 2 trailers. Like I said, it's just a different outlook I have, that if you would need them there, maybe you could put them in that rental trailer because it's already there and established. But I do have a problem with adding another trailer to this particular lot.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Casabon. Mr. Matthews.
Well, what we really have, I think, we've got 2 things going on here. 2 dwellings on this property and trailers. Let's deal with trailers first. There's already a trailer on this piece of property. So this property probably should have a mobile home overlay on it because it already has a mobile home on it. So that ought to be a slam dunk. Whether they have a second one or not, we ought to do this as a mobile home overlay. Now, the second house or second dwelling on the property, it doesn't make any difference from the zoning concept whether it is a mobile home a stick-built home, a garage apartment, guest house, whatever you want to call it, because there is, if you will, a hole in our A2 zoning. It says 1 house per acre, or 1 dwelling per acre, but there is a hole in there. It says you can have a garage apartment or a guest house under 1,000 square feet. So we're not looking at this as 2 trailers. We're looking at this as 2 dwellings. And if they wanted to put a 999 square foot stick-built guest house on this piece of property, then it would be okay. They would fit in that. They really don't need our approval to make this less than 1,000 square foot second dwelling. And as to whether it's rental or not, I don't think that enters into anything we do here. Rental property does not enter into A2 or any of our zonings as to whether they can have rental. So if they're going to have 1 or 2 rental dwellings on that piece of property, I don't think that concerns us in the slightest. I think all we need to look at is it is already A2. They can put a second dwelling on it as long as it is under 1,000 square feet. And should it have a MHO, manufactured housing overlay, and it already has a manufactured home on it. So it seems to be, this is like, duh, yes, we have to do this. That's my opinion.
Mr. Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries, 7 yeas, 3 nays. So motion passes. Now, if you disagree with this, get an appeal card and appeal it to the council. Item 6, zoning case 14-01-005, existing zoning A1 suburban district, proposed zoning A2 suburban district and a manufactured housing overlay. It's 3 acres. Petitioners Jackie Thomas, the owners Jackie and Terry Thomas. Parcel located on the south side of Gotchall Road, west of Louisiana 1077, being 10526 Gotchall Road, Covington, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
Staff doesn't have any objection to the rezoning request to manufactured home overlay. However, the request to rezone the site to A2 is a concern, considering that it could potentially allow the creation of 3 parcels of land and cause a significant increase in the density in the area. So at this time, staff would like to recommend denial of the A2 request and approval of the manufactured housing overlay.
Thank you. One of the Thomases here? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Thomas. And what it is my wife and I has 2 daughters. I was able to give my oldest daughter, a piece of property right next to ours, approximately 200 and something feet away from us. And I own 3 acres. And what I want to do is give my youngest daughter about 1.5 acres of the 3 acres to maybe 1.75 acres, and to help her get started. And the house I live in is like 984 square foot house, and that's all I'm asking is I'm trying to help my daughter get a piece of property. And I mean, there's nothing else can be done with it. If I give her half of the 3 acres, I can't see.
Okay.
I mean, or 1.75 acres of it.
All right. Helen, is there anything we can do besides going to an A2 zoning?
No, he's considering that he wants to give an 1.5 acres to his daughter. That's the minimum that he has to request. A2.
Okay. All right. Mr. Willie?
Will you see the opposition first?
Oh, yes. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? All right. Now, Mr. Willie.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this, and we do this in the past, to help family members out in these situations, so I'll move for approval.
We have a motion by Mr. Willie to approve, seconded by Ms. Casabon. Mr. Matthews.
I normally wouldn't have a problem with the simple request. What does concern me is there are four tracks on this large piece of property. Track 2A has already been zoned, has already had the zoning change from 1A to A1 to A2. We're going to be doing that on property 1A. Now we're going to have property 1B and 1C sandwiched between two 2A zonings. I would be shocked if we don't wind up at the next meeting or the next with tracks 1B and 1C all asking for A2. So we will wind up with the possibility of as many as 17 houses on this one large tract of land, and that's just too many for this area. If this was a isolated piece, it would be one thing, but this is what we keep talking about, being concerned that when you do one, somebody down the street wants the same thing, then somebody else down the street wants the same thing, and we wind up changing all of this A1 to A2. And I don't think that's really what we want to do.
Mr. Davis?
Mr. Thomas,
Yes, sir.
what would be the approximate size of the home that your daughter would intend on building?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she was gonna try to build a house.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, the actual.
My house is less than 1,000 feet.
But this is a 3-acre parcel, correct?
Right.
So it could be zoned A1A, which is a 3-acre parcel, and you could build a guest home or another residence for 1,000 square foot. So that would just take
Well, I
care of
mean,
that
would it-
with the mobile home overlay. But it just to let
mine's
you know
already-
that, you wouldn't have to change, the zoning probably should be A1A, and you could build another parcel on it, but you actually want to you want to take the property and actually split the property and give it to your daughter?
Well, I was gonna give it,
Okay, all right.
give it to my daughter, the property, and, I mean, her house, I mean, with mine being less than 1,000 feet, I mean,
Yeah.
This could be the guest house.
right. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, and she could build a 1,300 square foot, say. I mean, and the property across the road's all zoned, which y'all know, 1A, I think, or whatever. And yes, I know the property right down from us has been rezoned. And
Okay,
what's
so
the
if
deal?
your house,
We're all trying to stay together.
your
on this
your
road.
home is currently under 1,000 square foot.
Yes.
So
My
we
home
could,
is.
we could rezone this A1A, and that would allow his daughter to build another home on this site, any size.
It would allow her to build another home, however, he's not gonna be able to subdivide it.
Right.
He's gonna have to keep
Are
it
you
as a
sure you
3-acre
want to
parcel.
subdivide it? That's the thing. I mean, when you say subdivide it, you're actually going to give her that piece of property, which would still be hers. I mean, you're living on the property with her.
But-
So that's where I'm having a confusion.
As
you know?
long as
You
it's
have to
hers,
be
I mean,
able
as long
to-
as,
You have to be able they have to be able to have land in their name to go to the bank to
to get a
borrow
loan.
money.
Yeah, you can.
And you
borrow money to
can't
build a house.
decide what
All right.
size
Well, I'm
house,
just trying
but
to make
it's
it
like,
where-
this is the family, this is a situation where we've talked about before in this
We knew this
particular
was gonna
area
happen,
that they
yeah.
can give, this is what they have to give to their children, is what land they have left.
this is all I
Correct.
have left, is 3
And
Correct me if
so they're dividing it up between their children, and we shouldn't be dictating what size house or what they can put on it. They need it in their name so they can go to the bank.
Correct me if I'm wrong, counsel, they could sublease that, and as much of that property for $1 on a 99-year lease, which a bank would loan you the money to build a home of any
Well,
size if you chose
I
to do
I
it.
think
We're
we're-
not
No
in the
different than a
finance
hunting
business.
lease.
Mr. Hines? Okay. Yes, sir.
I forget which one of y'all brought up tract 1B and 1C. I just want to clarify. I'm looking at the survey. We are tract 1A. We front on Godshaw, 225 feet wide, 600 feet deep. The parcel next to me is my sister, Tracts 1A, 1B, and 1C was one 9.55 piece of land when we bought it in 1986. My husband and I, we split that up. We became 1A, we could only afford 3 acres. My sister bought the 3 acres next to us. My brother bought the 3 acres, which is 1C. So we bought it as a family. Now, my daughter owns 1C because I inherited that, and we gave her the front half of that. My sister is going nowhere. She's going to live there just like I'm going to live on 1A. My daughter now, my oldest daughter lives on 1C, on the front half. My sister owns the back half. She inherited it from our dad. So my brother lives across the street. My mother lives right behind him across the street. And my other sister lives next door to my mom. So this is all family right here. We're not planning on leasing this to anybody we have a hunting club next to us and behind us that's leasing all that other that big piece. We just want to give my daughter half of what we have to match what we already gave the other daughter, so that she can afford to hopefully build a house. We're asking for mobile home overlay only in case she can't get approved for a home, that she would be able to buy a trailer.
All right.
So,
I don't think, Ms. Casbon, you have your light on? I don't
Call
think,
for question?
I don't think the problem,
I thought there was a motion already. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion this be approved.
yeah, there's a motion on the floor.
See, here's a motion. I thought there was.
Okay. The problem is not the mobile home overlay, manufactured housing overlay. It's the changing from an A2 to a lesser zoning classification or more dense zoning classification. That's where the discussion is coming from, not the manufactured overlay. Okay? We have a motion and a second to approve. To approve. Mr. Willie made the motion. Mr. Casabon seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries 9 yea, 1 nay. Item 7, zoning case 14-01-006. Existing zoning is NC4 Neighborhood Institutional District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District. It's 1.3 acres. This comes to us from Parish Council motion of 11-713. Parcel located on the east side of Wilkinson Street, north of Louisiana Highway 36. Garland Addition, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with commercial uses. However, there is an existing residence on the site. Staff has no objections to the requested zoning change in order to make the existing use come into compliance with the appropriate zoning district. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience here on this case? All right. We'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Anyone have any discussion? Bug?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lauren to approve, seconded by Mr. Hines. Mr. Willie, you?
No, I was gonna make a motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to
Mr.
approve.
Chairman, just
Mr.
one thing, I was gonna make a motion to approve it. The only problem I have is, we've discussed this a number of times, we keep getting these things with nobody coming to appear to talk to us if we have questions, and we had asked the council not to do that unless these people come, and we've had 3 or 4 of these tonight. It gets kind of aggravating for these people to ask for something like this, and nobody shows up. I think this is a good motion, and I think we need to approve it, but I just get aggravated when nobody shows up to talk to us.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion? Please vote. Yes, sir.
Before we leave that, I have a hang-up, the same one that Mr. Matthews just mentioned. We've had 2 or 3 instances tonight where we've had petitions brought before us seeking approval to do something, and nobody shows up. And my request is to Helen to carry the message back to whoever is appropriate, that when the people file their paperwork, to let them know that it's expected that they'll be here.
This comes from the council, that's the problem.
Well,
These people don't even
well,
file.
if that's the case, then the message needs to go to the council
Yes.
that somebody needs to be here.
Well,
Because,
if
I
we
mean,
start
it
postponing these things a couple of times.
it leaves us dancing in the dark. We don't know the whole story.
Right.
You know, the council may know it, or the petitioner may know it, but we don't know it.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you take that to Sydney, I guess, and let him take it on to the council, or y'all take it to the council? It is a legitimate request. Mr. Hand?
Helen, is there something on the forms that are submitted that tell these people they need to come here?
Unfortunately, we do not receive a form. We just get the legal description, a copy of the request that has been put on the council agenda. However, we don't have access to the name of the property owner or any information.
Yeah, almost all of these come from the council.
Yeah.
When these people don't show up. I mean, you may have 1 or 2 for whatever reason, somebody's sick or it's the cold or whatever, but for the most part, this is from the council.
Well, and I think what the people are thinking is they talked to their councilman, he said, yes, I'll get it taken care of, and then it comes to us from the council, and they're not aware that they need to come before the zoning commission.
Well,
And I think, we'd said one other time that we're gonna start postponing these, and
we haven't done it. We need to do it.
right. We've had 2, this was the 3rd one tonight. And we just need to let the council know, to whoever whoever their constituent is, to please tell them that they have to come before the zoning commission. All right, the motion carries 10-0. Thank you. Item 8. Yeah, item 8, zoning case 1401-007. Existing zoning is I-1, proposed zoning is I-2 industrial district. It's 80.89 acres. This again comes to us from Parish Council by motion of 11-7-13, parcel located along J.F. Smith Boulevard and Mechanical Drive, Johnny F. Smith Memorial Business Park, Ward 9, District 14. Staff?
Mr. Doherty, if I may, could we combine this with case 14 as well? So we could have both heard at the same
let me,
time?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to combine those 2. They are the same property, basically, and they're asking for the same thing.
It's item 14, zoning case 14-01-013. We're going to hear these 2 cases together, but they will be voted on separately. And I need you made a motion, Bill?
Made the motion.
We have a second by Mr. Willie.
I'll second.
Please vote.
This is just to combine them, right?
Just to combine to hear, so we don't have to go through the same. Motion carries. Okay, staff?
The objective of the 2 requests is to allow for larger buildings and a variety of more intensive uses allowable under the I-2 zoning district, and staff has no objections to the requests.
Thank you. Mr. Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Doherty, and Honorable Commission. Happy New Year to you. I represent Mr. Chris Jean and the JFS Business Park. These 2 cases involve properties in what most of you might know to be the Johnny F. Smith Memorial Business Park, which is located north of I-12, west of Highway 11. One of the cases, of course, is referred to you by the council, and that's essentially what most of us have referred to as Phase 1 of the park, which has been in existence 10 years plus or minus. The second case was filed by my client as a petitioner. It is 4.13 acres, which you may remember zoning probably in the last 3 to 6 months to I-1 when we were doing some zoning of an area that we referred to as Phase 2, where the infrastructure is being constructed. We respectfully request, and of course have spoken with the councilman as well, that's why one of the cases is referred to you, but we respectfully request that you consider changing the zoning to I-2, principally for 2 reasons. Maybe somewhat surprisingly, but not so much for the additional land use opportunity. Certainly I-2 does provide for more intense uses. But the second reason, which is probably more important, is that it allows us to have structures in excess of 40,000 square feet. Right now, all of this property in this park is limited by the I-1 zoning classification to a 40,000 square foot building. And that can be a real problem to attract new businesses, whether it's inside light manufacturing, distribution, things of that nature. For those of you that have been in the park, I would hope that you would agree that most of the uses there are really very handsome. They're good-looking buildings, and they're doing a variety of things that don't create negative impacts to the neighbors within the park and certainly not to the people in the vicinity. We have some opportunity, we think, to bring new business into our park, but we badly need the I-2. So we again hope that you will see fit to recommend on both of these cases that the council rezone these properties to I-2. If any of you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? Okay, we'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Yeah, Mr. Shane.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I believe that both of these parcels are appropriate for I-2, the I-2 zoning, as the staff recommends. The only question I have is on this first parcel with the 80.89 acres, you still won't be putting any buildings on the western side of the Bayou Vincent area, is that correct?
That's correct. None of that
Because-
area is platted. None of that has received subdivision approval.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
Second.
All right, this is,
This
Mr.
is for
Davis is
first
making a
one.
motion to approve.
Yeah.
Zoning case 14-01-007. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Matthews, second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion for the other zoning case comparables, Z7-14-01-13, from I-1 to I-2 as well.
Motion to approve by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Matthews. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 9, zoning case 14-01-008. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. The proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and a manufactured housing overlay. It's 1 acre. Petitioner is Lucian Boudreau. Owner is Lucian and Annette Boudreau. Parcel located on the east side of Cary Road, south of Sticker Road, north of Purcell Road, being 64-358 Cary Road, Pearl River, Ward 8, District 9. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for residential development in this area, including manufactured homes. There are several manufactured homes in the vicinity. Staff does not object to the request and recommends approval.
Mr. Boudreau, are you in the office? Audience? Please come forward and tell us a little bit about it. I got a couple of questions.
Yes, my name's Lucian Boudreau, and I own the property.
Okay. In the packet that we were given, there was, I was told that you were supposed to get a petition from the surrounding property owners of no objection. I didn't see that in the packet.
Did not do it. I didn't.
And I understood that you and the councilman were supposed to have some further discussions on this before it came to the commission.
Okay. I
And-
talked to him twice, and I mean, I don't know what to say on that one, as far
Okay,
as,
well, from the commission standpoint, seems to be a little bit of a question. I'm gonna suggest that we postpone this till next month and let you and the councilman get together and get everything worked out one way or the other.
okay, because the last time I talked to him, he was supposed to drive by and see what the area looked like.
Okay.
And call me back, and I never heard back from him.
Well, that.
Whether he was
that's-
gonna give me approval, help me or not help me, you know?
Yeah, well, that's between you and him, and I can tell you, he has a monthly meeting every month, there at the Boyette School in Slidell. So my suggestion to the commission is that this be postponed till next
This
month
is
and
not
let
his,
them.
this is not, Belisario's district, I don't believe, is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought this was Steve Stefansi's.
No, this is, Belisario,
Oh,
Ward
okay.
9, District 9.
Mr. Chairman, what seems to be the problem? There are several manufactured homes in the area. We're not really changing the zoning. I'm at a loss to see what the problem is. This is one of those things I thought we often just routinely approved. I don't know, what,
It's my understanding that Mr. Boudreau and Mr. Belisario were supposed to get together. He had some questions on it, and that never happened. Whether you called him or he called you, I don't know,
Right, I spoke with him twice,
okay?
well, if
and he was gonna drive the area and see what was in the area. He wasn't familiar with the area.
Right.
And he called me back and let me know if he was either for it or against it. I assumed that he didn't call me, he was for it. I mean, if he would've been against it, he'd have called me and said, I don't think I can help you.
Yeah, well, I understand
Chairman.
that part of it.
May I?
Mr. Hines, is that,
Yeah, I'm very familiar with this area. I know these two people to start with. There's manufactured homes all in that area down there, okay? And, I don't see, I feel like if he's talked to Mr. Belisario twice and he hasn't got back with him, then that's Mr. Belisario's problem. So I'm going to make a motion that it be approved.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Motion was by Mr. Hines, seconded by Mr. Matthews. Ms. Casbon, you have your light on?
No.
Mark, you still have yours on?
I
Bill?
still have mine on.
Okay. you have-
This is something that we deal with all the time. If Mr. Belisario has a problem with it, then
He's
when
gonna
it
have
goes
to-
to the council,
He's gonna have to deal with it
that
at that level.
Mr. Belisario will deal with it as the council.
That's right.
We deal with this as the zoning commission.
Right.
And like I say, this is one of those things we almost routinely just, there are lots of manufactured homes in the area. We approve it, and I think that's what we ought to do.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. Boudreau, I would suggest that you make at least one more call to
I'll
Mr.
make a phone call.
Belisario, because it's gonna go to the council from this level.
Okay.
And it'll be up to them to approve or disapprove it.
Okay.
Okay? It's going with a favorable recommendation from this body here.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, page 3, item 10, zoning case 14-01-009. Existing zoning's A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and Manufactured Housing Overlay. 1.3 acres. The petitioner is John H. Daughtry Jr., owner is John H. Daughtry Jr., parcel located on the east side of Sea Spray Drive, south of Heather Mist Drive, north of Smoky Hollow Drive, being Lot 40, Block 3, Avery Estates Edition, Ward 8, District 13. Staff?
Staff does not have any objections and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Daughtry, are you in the audience? Please come forward. Staff's given you a favorable recommendation. Do you have any further comment?
No, sir. I'd like to thank the council,
Okay, well, this is commission.
commission, I'm sorry.
All right, any I'm gonna bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews?
Well, assuming we don't need to talk to the councilman about this, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Matthews to approve, seconded
Clear.
by
Clear?
Mr. Randolph? Okay,
Mr. Secretary, would you clear?
clear. You have to give it thanks.
Mr. Warren, Mr. Hines.
You voted when we had to clear.
made me clear it.
I'll take care of it.
It's
You
Louisiana.
legally get to vote twice.
It's Louisiana. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You have a good day, sir.
Thanks. Good night.
Item 11, zoning case 14-01-010. Existing zoning's NC1 Professional Office District. Proposed zoning's NC1 Professional Office District and RO Rural Overlay. It's 86.26 acres. This comes to us from Parish Council motion of 11-713. Parcels located on the north and south sides of Elm Street, south of I-12, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
The area in question was rezoned to NC1 during the comprehensive rezoning, considering its proximity to I-12. However, since the comprehensive rezoning, Elm Street has kept its residential rural character, which justify the request for a rural overlay, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name.
I don't understand why we just rezoned it to A.
Hi, my name's Craig Cucci. I live at 23275 Elm Street for the last 24 years. And when I bought this 7.7 acres, which is a part of this parcel, told my wife I was going to build a new house, so I appreciate any help you can give me on this issue. Happy New Year.
All right, thank you. Mr. Davis?
I'm a little confused about this. I mean, I drove out and looked at the area, and if anybody's familiar with that area, there's quite a few homes down on Elm Street and Hickory Street. So these homes, residential homes, are in NC1 zoning, is that correct?
But those homes were built before the comprehensive rezoning, is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I understand that. What is, I don't understand, why do they want a rural overlay? What is the advantage?
Basically, is to allow, to preserve the area, is still very much rural residential, preserve the character, but also to allow for single-family residences to be built on vacant parcels.
So you're gonna have neighborhood commercial properties between residential commercial properties?
Well, at this time, you don't have any commercial development in the area.
Why don't we rezone this to one of the A designations?
That's what I'm thinking
Well,
about.
this
We
is-
have businesses, people running the businesses out of their homes.
The councilman, this comes from the council, so I am
That doesn't make it
assuming.
right. I mean,
I understand your point, however, I'm assuming that since it was rezoned to NC1 during the comprehensive rezoning, it is the wish of the council to keep the underlying zoning. However, by adding the rural overlay, then it allows for single-family residences.
on the whole property?
Well,
On
the request from the
86
council,
acres.
the request from the council is to rezone the entire 86 acre.
He mentioned it's just 7 acres, right?
Well, he's
7
referring to his particular parcel, which is within that 86.26 acres.
Well, we're setting up a commercial district to allow residential homes in it. That's kind of counterintuitive here, isn't it?
It can go either way, though, Bill. I mean,
But it's in, the whole thing is NC1, and we're gonna say, okay, it's neighborhood commercial, but we're gonna allow residences to be in neighborhood commercial. That's kind of counterintuitive to what we want to do normally. Why don't we just make whatever pieces, he's got 7 acres, why don't we make that one of the A designations, A1, A2, or whatever, that he can put his house
rural
on,
overlay
would be
on that
fine.
parcel.
Well, okay.
This is a request from the council, and
You-
staff is
you keep
giving a
saying that.
recommendation based on what the council requested. Now, this is the zoning commission, if it's your wish to reduce it to just 7 acres, you may
Well, I mean,
make a motion just to reduce it to 7 acres.
does the staff agree that we should be putting residences in a commercial district?
At this time, Mr. Chairman, that area is still very much rural residential,
And
and the
maybe the
staff does not.
NC is wrong.
And
Maybe we need to look at changing the NC to one of the A designations. That makes more sense.
it is possible, sir, however, at this time, we're just responding to the request that is coming from the council.
What the councilman sent to him, and
So-
I understand what you're saying.
So because the council
Well,
sent
yeah.
it, we're gonna make a motion, or recommendation to approve?
We can,
I would make a motion to postpone this till we get this figured out. This
well,
doesn't make
I
any
think,
sense.
This is.
I think Helen made the comment, and correct me if I'm wrong, Helen, that, we can, do the NC1 and the rural overlay on the 7 point whatever acres.
Just 1 acre. We're going to leave it in woods because it's a conservation piece too. I don't want to alienate the people who are running businesses in the neighborhood. I have a commercial building where I live. I live 1 plot over on 4 acres, and other businesses, people run their businesses out of the homes. I don't want to alienate anybody's property value and the potential for the future, with my neighbors, because I've spoken to most of them. And so I think this was just a simple way, rather than having to go petition to have 1 residential acre, after the staff was very helpful, we'd have to cut out 1 acre for the house in the middle of all of that, and that would create a problem in the future. So this was the simplest solution, it
Well,
seemed.
I think what staff was looking at when they did the comprehensive rezoning was that based on the location of this 86 acres, it would be more appropriate to be an NC1 and not particularly one of the residential classifications, because it is going to be a mix of a light commercial, NC1, and possibly some residential. Now, which is right, go to the residential classifications and then have, it's come back to us to go to the NC classifications or do the rural overlay. I mean, it's almost a toss-up on that part of it, I think, Bill.
Well, as the pieces want to become residential, then we need to rezone them to a residential zoning, rather than putting a rural overlay over 86 acres.
But if they're aware that this overlay exists, and we don't make it all mandatory A2, A3, whatever, that they're aware that this is a place in which they can build a home, but they could also have a business out of their home. And this is a very unique situation, I think. And it's, as it grows and encroaches toward the interstate, I think they will realize, the houses would not be that close, but with houses being on Elm Street, and I think that's what they're asking for, and I think this was a solution to an overlay. If somebody wants to do residential and they see that it is NC they would understand what goes in there without making it all residential, and
Well, we don't
like
have
you
to
said, alienating those people.
With 2 and 4 acre plots on that street, that's all it said, 2 acres.
We don't have to rezone 86 acres to A2, A1. We have to rezone this gentleman's property to an A designation.
No, why can't we just do what they asking us to do and do the rural overlay? And that, I think, like it said, was a solution to this man's, instead of rezoning it to residential, because someone could come in and say, well, I don't want the residential or what he's doing or whatever. I just think the rural overlay was a solution to allowing him and other residents to come in and put a home there as well as the business.
Well, it gets it done, but it gets it done the wrong way, because we're gonna have somebody coming in and asking for a rural overlay over an I-2 or something. I mean, this, very simple, we just need to rezone it properly.
I-2, no, that doesn't look good, but there's people living on Elm Street now, and this is a rural area.
And they can have that.
Each thing is unique. And this is a unique piece of, our area of our parish that,
But very simply, when we want residential in an NC, we change it to residential. Why won't we do that?
Well,
Piece by
this-
piece.
why don't we just do
May
the overlay?
I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Willie Woods had his light on
Okay,
before
I'm
you did.
I still suggest that we do this man's parcel, and if the council wish to do the other 79 acres, then he should do so.
And that won't disturb the
It won't
neighbors'
disturb you. You can do what you wanna
designations
do, and-
up there.
And you won't disturb them and whatever.
So my 7.7 has the rural overlay, I can build a house and it won't
Solve
disturb.
the problem.
I don't want to alienate anybody from doing their businesses back there because that makes it attractive being,
Change yours to an A designation, one of the residential designations.
I'd rather
Mr.
not.
Chairman,
I'd
may I
rather leave
speak?
it commercial, to be honest with you, because I think it might give me more opportunity in the future as it is.
Okay. Mr. Hines?
Okay, if we rezone this to A something, this man wants to put a business in there at a
Then he's
later
gotta come
time,
back.
he cannot do it.
Right.
Okay? Now, I think what they're trying to do is the best thing that they could do to maintain residents and business, let it coexist. I'll make a motion that it be approved.
Well, we have a motion. No, we don't have a motion. Okay. All right. All right, you got a motion to approve the 86.26 acres. Is that what I'm understanding? Yes. Okay, and we have a second. Any further discussion, Mr. Davis?
No, I see where everybody's going with this, and it does make sense in one way. It's just that it seems funny to have a large NC1 area and just have maybe, the rural overlay allows people to build a house on their property. That's basically what it does. That's all it does. Right? I mean,
Yes,
so
sir.
realistically, but then, as you know, if you know that going into it,
Yes, sir.
you know that somebody right next door can build a commercialization, have another house, another commercial house.
Yes, sir.
It allows also all of the other things that are appropriate in a rural overlay.
Right.
But this
which
man
is-
also
Which
would
is
be able
agricultural
to.
and a whole bunch of other stuff.
But this
Okay.
man also
Mr.
would
Hines?
be able to, if he wanted to put a little small business working out off of that property, he could do the same thing.
He can do the same thing, that's correct. Okay, any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries, 9 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, zoning case 14-01-011, existing zonings NC4 Neighborhood and Institutional District, proposed zonings A4A Single Family Residential. It's 40,000 square feet. The petitioner is Marriott Landry. The owner is Marriott and Anahi Landry, parcel located on the south side of Lakeview Drive, east of US Highway 11, being 59 Lakeview Drive, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff has no objection to the request and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. The Landry's here? Good evening.
Good evening. I am Merritt Landry.
Okay, all right.
I'm just here to answer any questions y'all might have. Thank you
What
for having us.
We need you here for. Okay, anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this case? Okay, I'm gonna close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Landry? I will look for a motion to approve or
I move
disapprove.
to approve.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Mr. Randolph, seconded by Mr. Lauren. Any further discussion? Please vote. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So from here, does it go to the council or is that it?
It goes to the council and that'll be 60 days? 60 days before it hits their agenda.
Okay, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Item 13, zoning case, zoning case 14-01-012, existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and an RO Rural Overlay. It's 5.82 acres. Petitioner Jeff Shane. The owner is Don Parks Peckerick and Jared, Mr. Peckerick, I guess. Excuse me on that. Parcel located on the north side of Bayou Liberty Road, west of Gladys Lane, east of Fashawn Road, being 34205 Bayou Liberty Road, Slide L, Ward 9, District 11. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses and conservation areas, which is in accordance with the allowable uses and objectives of the rural overlay. Staff does not object to the requested zoning change and recommends approval.
Thank you. Mr. Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. I represent Dawn and Jerzy Pekarek. They are the owners of this property. This is a parcel that was decimated by Katrina. It has no structures on it. They hope to build a very nice bed and breakfast facility on this site. We began the process by meeting with Councilman Stefancic and later working in a series of meetings with the Bayou Lacombe Association and came to an agreement. That's why none of the Bayou residents are with us this evening. We have agreed to a deed restriction, which we will sign and put into the record at the time the zoning is changed by the council, which will limit the use of the R rural overlay to only bed and breakfast. None of the other uses in the R rural will be able to be used pursuant to the deed restriction. Hopefully a pretty simple situation. We ask that you recommend to the council that they so impose the R rural overlay on this property.
Thank you, Mr. Shane.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission.
Make a motion to accept. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kirk to approve, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14 we've already heard. Is there any old business?
Chairman, staff, if we're going to look at the changing the wording and the veterinary business and how that's going?
Yes, sir, we are working on coming up with an ordinance that should be coming to you hopefully within the next few months.
Next few months, okay. Just keep checking because we need to have that done.
Yes.
Ellen, I have a question. Are we still working on the amendment that was referred from the council about adding single-family residence to neighborhood commercial?
Absolutely, sir. I am working on it, and I will have a
Great.
copy to you within the next 2 weeks.
Great.
For you to review.
I think that'll correct some of the issues we dealt with tonight. So staff is definitely looking at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, new business. Ms. Lambert, you mentioned that you had an item that we need to make the public aware of.
Yes, we'd like to announce that we now have a new map on our website. If you go particularly under the planning department, we now have a new map for zoning cases and planning commissioner cases. Basically, if you click on a map, it will open up and give you a view of the parish, and you will see with a yellow dot where all the new cases are. So it gives you an overview of where all the cases are located. Sometimes when you look at the agenda, it may be difficult to know, maybe is this in the southern part of the parish, in the northern part of the parish. So we invite you to look on the website and go view the map. If you need help to get to the map, feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be more than happy to help any one of the public or any one of you to look at the map.
Do you take calls from the public? That's not what I hear in IL. No, thank you. All right, Mr. Matthews, I think you had another item of new business.
Can I continue this?
Yeah,
Alan?
yes, absolutely.
Those little yellow points you're talking about, do they have the zoning case number on those points?
Absolutely. You click on it, and it gives you not only the zoning cases, but the location, and the acreage, and you can also click at the bottom, and then it takes you to the agenda.
Awesome. Very good.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Helen?
Even Helen couldn't do that. Mr. Chairman, I think we need to elect our officers again annually. This being our first meeting, I think we probably ought to do that. And I would make a motion to continue the officers we presently have in Globo.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Matthews. I guess it's a unanimous second from what I'm hearing.
But we probably need to vote.
You need to vote, that's correct. So please vote.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, you can't get out of it.
Well, thank you all very much, and like I've told you
thanking us?
individually, motion carries. Like I've told you individually, if you have a problem, please let me know. Thank you. We need a motion to adjourn. Thank